Welcome once more to the Adventitious Adventures podcast. As always, the story you're hearing is based on the real-life D&D campaign my friends and I played. If you're liking the story so far, make sure to like and follow the channel for updates when episodes are out, and feel free to share with your friends. You can also find these episodes on YouTube, and the original written episodes can be found on wordpress.com under the same name. Last time, the party managed to get themselves into quite the scuffle when they arrived at the masquerade held by the Northern King. Before they could even have a chance to pass along their message, they were thrown into battle with those they had come to warn against. Can the party manage to defeat their foes, or will the kingdom succumb to the chaos the cult of the spiral masks seemed to be hoping for? Our story begins again with the party still engaged in battle against those being controlled by the spiral mask. They thought they had begun to get an upper hand, but after defeating the foe, a new one came in their place, bearing the same exact voice. As they are standing in shock, the man speaks. He tells them that they desire the princess, and that Thuristan wants her, has plans for her even. He goes on to explain that the peoples of this land are not originally from here. 2,000 years ago, a portal was opened for refugees of those displaced by Thuristan. However, he was able to send through a spell that could give him power in this land, but it must be connected to something physical, like a mask. It has been a long time, but he has finally managed to gain enough support to send others through. Obviously a bit shaken from the words they're hearing, the party stands unsure about what their next move is. However, in true fashion, they begin to argue with the man. He lets it go on for a little while before telling them that the portal has now been opened, and their friends are currently dying in defense. With these words, the fight breaks out once more. While the battle between the first masked person seemed to go rather easily in the party's favor, this time, the tables have turned. After the first attacks, Mitram sees an opportunity for perhaps changing the tide completely and heads down the stairs. When he arrives back down to the celebration, he begins to convince all of those he can that the masks are dangerous and that they should take them off. Some of the guests do indeed follow this suggestion, but the majority dismiss it. Mitram then tries another angle by appealing to the king and queen for help. They seem to be not as concerned as they should be, but his insistence does get the attention of one of the king's advisors, who helps by vaporizing the masks that are still being worn. Back upstairs, the fight is not going well. The party has somewhat been managing to hold their own, but it has been difficult. Inara has already been taken out, as the masked man fires a fire blast in the direction of Bill, knocking him down, before turning to Rick and blasting him down as well. Suddenly, Mitram appears back upstairs, having finally convinced the king to help his daughter. He has brought with him some of the advisors, including the woman who had taken care of the masks. Seeing everyone is down, she uses healing, bringing the party back into action, where they finally get the upper hand and defeat the masked man. Before he dies, however, he tells them that this is not the end, and he will return, just as the mask falls and the man with it. Now that the danger and excitement have subsided, Princess Alexa notices her parents standing nearby. The king asks what exactly is going on, and as the party begins to explain everything, the queen starts to back up towards where the man had fallen. The party notices what she is doing, stopping their story and calling attention to her actions. Instead of being stopped, the queen grabs the mask off the floor and tells them that she wishes the man had taken the princess. She laments how much she hates the fact that the king dotes on his daughter and how much she dislikes her. While talking, the queen slowly brings the mask up, as if to put it on herself, Between the words she is speaking and the battle they had just overcome, this seems to anger Malvis, and he sends a blast at the queen, incinerating her and the mask. Silence overcomes the room for a moment, as everyone is in awe of what has just happened. Once it finally sinks in, however, the king launches himself at Malvis in anger and grief, only to be stopped by Mitram, urging him to calm down. The king backs down, but shouts at the party that what Malvis has done is murder, and they are from here on out stripped of all of their recognition and privileges and exiled from the north. Princess Alexa, feeling a range of emotions, approaches the party, slapping Malvis across the face before appealing to Inara and Bill. Bill offers to leave the group and serve her, but she turns him down, saying that they are no longer friends, and should have just gone to war. Inara sees the pain in her friend's face, but tells her that she cannot condemn Malvis for what he has done, based on what they had just been through. Alexa seems most hurt by this admission, and when Bill appeals to her to let him stay once more, she non-committally accepts. As this is happening, Mitram's sister appears, seeming distraught. She tells them that there's much commotion and chaos happening outside of the palace, and smoke is rising from the city beyond. A hooded figure also comes to stand near Rick, and looking closer, it is revealed to be Stephanie, who seems upset and tells them that her colleagues and her were set up. It was all a distraction for something greater, and she had come to warn Mitram of the danger. She describes there was a man who disrupted their protest who had a strange tattoo, and he changed the peacefulness to chaos with claims of going to kill the king. While all of this is happening, the story pans to the barrens. A portal opens, and inside there can be seen many sinister creatures and a lot of carnage. A masked and hooded figure appears, telling the other creatures behind it that the North has been taken care of, our time is now, before stepping through the portal. Back with the party, Jeremiah appears, telling them to quickly go downstairs and away. They listen, leaving Bill, who has decided to remain and aid Princess Alexa. Once down the stairs, Rick leaves, vaguely telling them that with all that is now happening, he must return to his village and protect them. An elven man approaches the party, introducing himself to Mitram as Laurorin, and claiming that he had been helping protect the king down here at the party. He tells them he knows where they can retrieve their gear and weapons, and begins to lead them there. He seems a little spacey, but not untrustworthy, so the party follows, finding their things. As they load up, Stephanie describes in better detail the chaos that is happening outside of the palace, leading the party to realize they're not going to be able to leave the way they came. While they're debating what they should do, the party is approached by a man who is wearing armor and seems ready for a fight. However, instead of engaging them, he tells them he wants a new king. The people of the North are suffering, and the king does nothing, but not caring about anyone but his daughter. The party listens to the man's lament, but tells him they can do nothing to help his cause, and he leaves, much to their surprise. As soon as the man is gone, Jeremiah reappears and tells them he has something for them. He produces a potion, telling the party that it needs a map to function, but when used is able to form into a sphere that can take them wherever they desire. Jeremiah urges them to use it to travel to the Barrens and help to take down the threat there, but the party is not so sure. He also tells them there's an alternative way out of the palace through the sewers, and describes how to get there. Jeremiah then leaves them to make their own choices. Mitram, Inara, and Malvis talk everything over for a moment before coming to different conclusions. Inara and Malvis, having come from the south, do not truly have strong feelings about what is now happening to the north. While the threat in the Barrens could have an effect on both lands, Inara also feels that this is all too much and is not what she was actually tasked with doing. Malvis decides to support her in this as much as he can, and they make their way to the entrance to the sewers. Mitchum wishes only to protect his sister and get her away from the chaos before planning on joining the fight in the Barrens, so takes the potion and chooses to travel back to West Bosch. Inside the Barrens, more and more creatures are making their way through the portal, as many forces from both sides of the land face off against them. Out of the woods comes a small female halfling, who seems to have just stumbled upon the battle in front of her. She ends up meeting the party that Malvis had met before, and who also had come to give aid, introducing herself as Chopette. She decides to join the fray and helps them take down the creatures that are continually emerging from the portal. Meanwhile, Mitchum is traveling through the north inside the potion sphere. His sister hugs him, and it is finally revealed that her name is Rin. She questions how he came to be there, and he describes what has happened up until now. Rin talks about Princess Alexa and how she offered her a better life than what she was living, and that she is happy to see him again. During this time, Stephanie, who had chosen to leave with them, seems quite skeptical and suspicious of Rin, even calling her naive. Mitchum senses the tension between the two women and explains to Stephanie that Rin is his sister, which seems to calm things down a bit. Down underneath the city, Malvis and Inara are slowly making their way through the tunnels that have been revealed at the base of a fountain in the palace. They're not sure where they're going, so it is slow going, and also plagued by the random talking of Laurorin, who had continued to follow them. Back in the Barrens, Chop and the other forces have put down the first wave of creatures, only to find that there are more and more coming through. From the north, the group of animal hybrids that the party had met arrive to help out, and it begins to turn the tide of the battle. However, just as the forces are starting to feel more at ease, the large and imposing figure of Thuristan appears, stepping through the portal and finally joining the fight.